Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'd all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And who's calling roll tonight?
Mrs.
Okay.
Watch it.
Deputy Mayor Baggett.
Here, please.
Councilmember Larry Brown.
Here.
Councilmember DeCoursey.
Here.
Councilmember Holman.
Here.
Councilmember Pelosa.
Excused.
Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Here.
Councilmember Wales.
Here.
Very good, Teresa. All right, we will move to proclamations. We have two this evening. And I believe the recipients are both very familiar to the entire council. We'll start with Constitution Week.
I'm sorry, am I ahead of myself?
That's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's no problem at all. We'll do Constitution Week first. We have Hilda Merrihew, who is here with the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, our proclamation, and you are not new to this either.
No,
You've been
not
with
at
us
all.
several years, and
I
thank
have.
you so much for all of your
You're welcome.
service.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor's Proclamation. Whereas September 17th, 2018 marks the 231st anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas in 1955, the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution petitioned Congress with a resolution. This week of observance for the foundation of the American form of government was signed into law by President Dwight D. Eisenhower on August 2nd, 1956. George W. Bush officially declared the inception of Constitution Week in 2002. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. And whereas patriotic celebrations are held to commemorate and emphasize the responsibility of citizens for protecting and defending the Constitution, and now, therefore, I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2018, as Constitution Week in the City of Auburn, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. Remember that lost rights may never be regained. Dated the 17th day of September, 2018. Hilda, let me present that to you, and I'm sure you have a few words that you would like to share.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would just want to say with Constitution Week, it did start today until the 23rd. It was officially enacted August 2nd, 1956 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower from a congressional resolution petition by the Daughters of the American Revolution. The purpose of the observance is to promote study and education about the Constitution, which was originally adopted by the American Congress on September 17th, 1787. Now, the U.S. Constitution is the oldest and the shortest of the written national constitutions. More than 11,000 amendments have been introduced in Congress. 33 have gone to the states to be ratified, and 27 have been amended to the Constitution. And I know many of you are here in Auburn, and there is a display that I put up at Sam's Shoe Repair Shop in Auburn. So if you get a chance, take a look. And thank you.
And Hilda, if you would like to go forward and accept the appreciation of the City Council for all of the work that you do on behalf of our government and the City of Auburn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hilda.
Yeah, thank you. you very much. I was thinking when you come out, when you have a dedication to that.
That was meant a lot to me, but you know, you're coming here every year. I think this is the 8th year that you've, at least since I've been here.
So we're entertaining some of the Masurits, which is some of the Japanese foods for tea on Thursday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Brown, I have not met you.
Nice to meet you
I've
personally.
seen your picture at the paper.
I've seen you on TV over there.
Better than in the post office.
Thank you.
I can send this notification.
Thank you. And next we have Airport Appreciation Day. So if I could have our Public Works Director Ingrid Gaub and our Airport Manager Jamal Garcia please come forward. Again, two faces very familiar to the council. All right. Whereas the Auburn Municipal Airport began operations in 1969 and has operated as an enterprise fund of the city since its inception, and whereas beginning in 1974 and continuing to present, the all-volunteer Auburn Airport Advisory Board has provided the City Council and administration with important and strategic guidance on the growth, development, and operations of the airport. And whereas the Auburn Municipal Airport is designated as a public use general aviation airport and is further classified as one of 5 reliever airports in the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, defined by the Federal Aviation Administration, that provide additional general aviation capacity to nearby commercial service airports. And whereas the Auburn Municipal Airport accommodates a wide variety of aeronautical activity, including small single and multi-engine aircraft, civilian helicopters, and occasional business class turbine aircraft. And whereas, as the end of 2017, Auburn Municipal Airport had 334 based aircraft, 164,000 total annual operations, and 7 commercial tenants providing diverse aircraft services to support local and regional aircraft operations. And whereas the Auburn Municipal Airport has been identified in the city's recently approved 10-year Economic Development Strategic Plan as a key element in the city's current and future economic development efforts, and short-term and long-term planning actions are underway to increase the airport's economic contribution to the community and the region. And now, therefore, I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim the designation of September 29th, 2018 as Auburn Municipal Airport Appreciation Day. The municipal airport has provided invaluable aeronautical, economic, and public safety benefits to the Auburn community for almost 50 years. Dated the 17th day of September, 2018. Who would you like me to, I will present it to you, Jamel.
Thank you.
And do you have anything that you would like to share?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Just want to let everybody know that September 29th, which is Saturday, from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock, we're having static display of aircraft, helicopters. We also are having a vintage hydroplane that will be on display there. It's open to the public. The Washington Pilots Association, in an effort to fund their scholarship program, will be providing pancake breakfast from 8 o'clock until 11. And then we're going to do a McDonald's and switch over to hot dogs from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you're available, please come out. That's open to the community. And it's kind of our outreach to appreciate the citizens of Auburn also.
Ingrid, did you have anything you'd like to say?
Just want to say that this is to recognize the importance of the airport in the city and to try to raise awareness for the citizens of the city of what the airport is and what we actually do out there. So hopefully lots of people can come down and see what the airport's all about. Thank you.
Thank you. And just another note, Jamel has, as council knows, has decided to retire at the end of this year. But we want to thank you so much for your years of valued service and dedication to the airport and to those individuals who utilize the services of the airport. We will miss you, but we know that we'll still be able to see you every now and then. You're not going too far, I hope.
No. 4.2 miles.
4.2 miles. We can cover that. All right, if you would both please go forward and accept the appreciation of council for all of the work that you do on behalf of the airport.
And you can teach me how to eat pancakes on Saturday. I will.
You need to be taught how to eat pancakes?
Compete.
All right. We will continue on. We have no public hearings this evening, so we'll move directly to audience participation. This is a place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to the City Council on any issue. Those wishing to speak are reminded to sign in on the form provided. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Anyone at all? Seeing no one, we will move on to correspondence. I believe we have no correspondence this evening. Is that correct, Teresa? All right. Moving on to Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. Council Ad Hoc Committee chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendation to the City Council, if any. We will begin with Councilmember Brown for the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the finance report for 9/17/2018. Claims vouchers were reviewed, 159 of them, and 4 wire transfers from report dated 9/17/2018 for a total amount of $7,075,000. All claims were reviewed and were in reasonable good order. In addition, payroll vouchers from 8/30 to 9/12/2018 were reviewed. There were 22 checks, 562 direct deposits, and 8 associated electronic funds transfers for tax, retirement, etc., totaling $2,200,000. And the Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. And for the Roads Transportation Committee, Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. The committee met with Director Coleman on September 5th to review our current funding and potential funding options and potential revenue sources for the coming future. And we're going to continue on with our meetings in October to prepare for the full presentation to the council. So our next meeting is October 8th.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Baggett.
Thank you. We have 4 items tonight on the consent agenda: the minutes of the September 4th regular council meeting, the claims vouchers and payroll vouchers that Councilmember Brown just went over, and the Public Works Project CP 1825, which is for rechannelization of multiple sites around the city, and for approximately $102,445.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. We have no unfinished business this evening, no new business, so we will move to resolutions. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 5382, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the mayor to accept a federal grant amendment to be administered by the Washington State Military Department for the Reservoir 1 Seismic Control Valve Project.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 5382.
Thank you. Is there a second? Deputy Mayor Baggett.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
As City Attorney stated, this is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement for an amendment to an existing project we have, CP 1709, the Reservoir Number 1 Seismic Control Valve Project. The city was previously awarded and accepted a hazardous mitigation grant in the amount of $175,000, and the city matched funds of $25,000 to fund the design and construction. Now that the project is moving forward, it's time for the construction phase of the project, and the city has applied for and is awarded an additional grant from the Washington State Military Department for Hazardous Mitigation in the amount of $270,390, and the city will match funds at $38,627. And that gives us a total combined grant award for the project of $445,390.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolution number 5382, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5383, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the Washington State Capital Projects Fund, authorizing the mayor to execute the necessary contracts to accept the funds, and authorizing an amendment to an existing contract to perform the funded work.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. I move for the adoption of Resolution 5383.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
This resolution allows the city to go forward with a change order for the Lescove Park Crescent project that was entered into with Hanson Construction, and also the award of a grant of $479,180 from the State of Washington Capital Heritage Projects Fund to improve the landscaping and the hardscaping around the White River Valley Museum, as well as remodel the museum into a museum garage into a classroom. And this action authorizes the mayor to accept and appropriate the funds from the Washington State Capital Heritage Project, as well as authorizing the change order.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Wales.
Several questions, Your Honor. How much is the cost of the total project as it relates to the White River Museum portion?
This on? All right. We were talking about, the total grant is $497,000. Includes improvements to the interior of the museum as well as the exterior. The current bid that we have, well, the quote that we got from H.B. Hansen, who did the Crescent project, was came in at just under $90,000 plus tax, so $102,740. And then the remainder of that will be used for the interior improvements, which we'll go out to bid on for those improvements. It made sense it seems to make sense for H.B. Hansen to do the work because they did the entire Crescent project, and this is just an extension of that project into the east side of the museum there.
Okay, 'cause when
Your microphone, please.
So when I look at page 36 of 41, the total there of 1.6 million is not just the White River, it's also some other work at Lescove?
36 of 41 on the, I thought I printed that out. Of the grant agreement? Or
It's attachment D of the project
Attachment D.
budget. Do you want, Jamie, do you want this one?
Sure. So, you repeat your question, please?
The total there is $1.6 million. That is probably not totally for the White River Museum improvements. It's for some other things also.
Yes. So we used a partial match for the grant as the 8th Street project because there was improvements around the museum and for circulation and things like that. So that total amount includes that 1.6 million for that, for the project that's already completed. And so the rest of the project would cover the 497,000 that you see in the grant amount.
Okay, so the in-kind that we provided with the F Street improvements, H Street, was about 500,000.
Right.
And the project at White River is about, that we got grant for, is about 500,000.
Right.
So where is the other 500,000 approximately for this?
That's the
1.6
Lescove Crescent project
Okay.
was right in there too.
Okay,
560,
great.
I think, is what that was.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, Councilmember Wells.
Thank you, Your Honor. The I see that the capacity of the classroom is going to be about 92, about 2 classrooms worth of kids. What do we plan on doing with the other classroom that's currently in the museum?
It'll still be used for the field trips as well. I think Patricia's intent is to use this area to queue kids up. You know, when they have multiple classes coming in at a time, and so the kids come in and they do their tour and see the museum and things like that. There's another group of kids that come in at the same time, and so this provides an opportunity to queue these kids up, and it also provides an opportunity to add the capacity, like what we're talking about with the 90, you know, kind of the 90 kids to put a class on or whatever that they might do. So.
Yes.
Okay. I see that the furnishings there are about $12,000. I assume that that's what's necessary, chairs and tables for that 90 person classroom.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. What is going to be the capacity of the amphitheater, or does the garage doors open and the seating in there for 90 serve as the backdrop for the amphitheater?
Right. So the garage door is currently open, and those will be improved. So it's basically just a roll-out door, so you can it opens up to that area. And then there's seating there. There'll be it's got a train feel to it. So they call it the Roundhouse Project, really, because there's going to be a train out there with some poured-in-place playing surface and you know, benches and things like that. So.
Councilmember Wales.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. The Climb-On train engine, can you tell me a little bit more about it and its location in relationship to these improvements?
So it's adjacent to the improvements. It's basically right in the plaza. I don't know if you're familiar with the east side of the museum right there. It's on the Let's Go side.
Okay.
So there's an old parking lot there. So basically we'll demo that, pull all that out, and then so the train will have a poured-in-place surface, so it's a rubbery surface. So, you know, younger kids have climbing and falling and things like that. And so that's actually going to be done. H.B. Hansen kind of specializes in concrete work that they did for the Let's Go project. And so that'll be done by a separate contractor. But it'll be basically adjacent to the new plaza area. It'll just be a curbing area, and then the poured in place, and then the train structure will go in there.
Yes, Councilmember Wells.
Oh, thank you. I think that it would be nice if we had an opportunity, either have it mailed to us or whatever, that we see what the plan kind of looks like a little bit more, unless I missed it at a meeting.
No, we'll provide that.
Get that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
It's
Thank
exciting.
you, Jamie.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, are there any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of resolution number 5383, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. All right, we will move now to mayor and council member reports. At this time, the mayor and city council may report on significant items associated with their appointed positions on federal, state, regional, and local organizations. We will begin with Deputy Mayor Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. 3 items tonight. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of representing the city and the mayor at the Mexican Independence Day celebration over at Let's Go Park. When I first accepted that role, I assumed it was going to be an indoor kind of a affair, and the entire Let's Go Park area over there outside of the community center was taken up with about 10 to 14,000 people. So it was a much bigger thing than I had originally anticipated. So I had to cut my speech a little bit short. So not being too conversant in the Spanish language, I said, ole, or hola, hola, hola,
Hola.
hola, and buenos dias, and I let everybody know that was the extent of my Spanish. So, but everyone there was very receptive, and they were having a great time. The flamenco dancers, the bands, the horses were there, and just a throng of people that were just having a good time. And it was really great to see that. So I was very proud to be able to represent the city in that affair, along with the Consul General for the country of Mexico. Also, I had a meeting last week at the Emergency Management Advisory Committee, and we have kind of like our own comprehensive plan for our city. We have a comprehensive emergency management plan that's up for review right now, and we're going through all of that. That's going to be pretty extensive to identify the regional areas within King County that maybe needs some embellishment or building up so that we can communicate a lot of the activities going on around the region, primarily in the event of such a disaster that might occur of any kind. So that's coming up along with training, emergency management training for everyone. That's going to probably be in November, I would suspect. It was scheduled for October, but due to some change in some schedules, it had to be moved. So that's coming up, and our own emergency management manager, Jerry Thorson, will probably be involved in a lot of that as well. And as well, getting our own council perhaps and some of our own people within the staff trained on what's expected of us in the event of some kind of a disaster. Thirdly, I think we had a meeting of the public health of Tacoma and Pierce County. And even though we have a small faction of our city within Pierce County, being a two-county city, it's very important to identify things like the West Nile virus that they detected over by the Tacoma port. And since that time, they have run other studies on other captured mosquitoes, and they have not found any additional. But be warned that now that it's kind of fall and getting on to winter, they may die off for a while, but they expect that next year West Nile virus will be within our region. So we need to be extra careful. Lastly, along with those same lines with the Board of Health, you may have seen the fire at the scrap metal yard over there that has caused quite a bit of nasty stuff that's been put into the air. So they've put out warnings, and for those people that are in the Tacoma, Pierce County area, to make sure that they stay inside, use their air conditioning, primarily in a closed environment if they can, so that they do not get those fumes in there. But they're still working on getting a lot of those that smoke and everything out of the air. So that's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Oh, good. I had a very busy week. Before I left, I met with a young lady named Amy Tooley from the King County Library. She has just been hired, and she's going to have her little office at our public library. What she's going to do is, she is here, she got a grant to start a teen volunteer council. And what this is that she's going to go to all the schools, and she had gotten my name from somebody from WorkSource that says that, you know, I'm involved with the youth in the community. So I gave her some few people to go to and try to get this in the schools. What this is all about is to get the high school students to get their community service so that they can have them all before they graduate. What she's going to be doing is develop important skills for schools, jobs, and life, earn community service hours to complete high school requirements, gain leadership and project management skills, get to know great people as council members in the Auburn community, and just have a good time with new students and friends and everything. So if I've got enough copies for each one of you folks to help out, and she says if you want, just reach out to her. If you have any other connections or any other ideas, to contact her. Then I flew out to Washington, D.C. for my HELO leadership retreat. HELO is Hispanic Elective Legislative Officials. We had our retreat and our board meeting on Monday night. I'm one of the board members, so it was really interesting on some of the topics that we are trying to cover. At our Los Angeles retreat, they're really focusing on affordable housing. And they're going to do a trip, it's a 3-hour trip from Los Angeles to Santa Monica. And they're going to take us there because one of the council members that's on our board, they have done some really good projects in their city to rebuild a whole neighborhood with affordable housing. And so they're going to take us and we're going to tour that whole neighborhood. Also, some of the things, there's so much for me to share, so I'm just going to share a little bit. National Leagues of Cities did a rebuild and reimagine American infrastructure. So this is the stuff that we took to Washington, D.C. Not only that, before I left, I went to Dana Hidman and I asked her, is there anything that the city is doing? So she gave us our own little pamphlet. So I took this. We ended up going to the Hill on Thursday and Friday, and we met several of our council members. There was 10 people in my group. They loved going to Marie Cantwell's office. I got kind of a little boo from everybody because I handed one of these to 8 of our congressmen, and they all go, look what Auburn gave us. And not one of them did that with a pen. They go, God, Mrs. Trout, you really showed us off. So anyways, you'll probably hear about it from some of, John, you know some of the people that were in my group. So anyways, what they were really, the important things that they were lobbying was water, broadband, workforce, and transportation. I shared a little bit about our transportation, about our ad hoc committee and what we're looking to do for 2020 and 21. Some of these people don't have enough funds for just to do 19. So it was really interesting to hear what we are doing, and we're really ahead of the program. The opiates, they're also battling the opiates epidemic, so we had a lot of information on that as well. I brought several, there's a whole book about the opiates. They had it at the mayor's retreat. And then also after school, summer learning, because they're saying that our kids are, when they're on vacation, they're getting behind. So they're trying to promote a lot of things for kids to do during the summertime, and some really good ideas on here that maybe we should implement also to get these kids ready for the work field. Also, the equitable neighborhood development. This gentleman wants to come to our city and talk to Doug Lean. So I'm going to talk to Doug Lean and give him this book and see what we can do, because there's money available. Also, building the public workforce. This that shows the percentage of how many kids. You've got the X, Y, and Z, and us baby boomers. So these kids that are coming down the pipeline are like the I-Tech people and everything, and they're trying to also say, they asked me, what are we doing in our city to keep our people in our city? They asked if we had a big turnover, and I go, no, we don't. And so I just shared with them a little bit about what we offer, and other cities are offering basically the same packets, and so that's how they're retaining their workforce. There's just so much to do. I was overwhelmed with so much information to bring, and then to go to the Hill and to talk to some of our representatives there, and there's some of the things, the tax form. Marie Cantwell's advisor person told us that we didn't have to worry about that in our state. Marie's on top of it, and that we don't have to worry about it. So anyways, I'll share with you folks the rest of my stuff. I don't want to take everybody's time, but we did have a little scare on Wednesday. The governor of D.C. sent out an alert that because of the tornado that was coming along the coast, it was supposed to hit the Washington, D.C. So I was going to try to leave on Wednesday evening because all the airports were sending alarms telling people to go and change their flights to get out. But luckily, the storm turned around, it went south, and we didn't get any of it. So thank you.
Well, we're glad you're safe, and it sounds like you've had a very productive
It was very
trip.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
Thank you very much. While Yolanda was away working, she was still working here in the community. I want to formally thank her for having Jerry from Emergency Management come to the morning Kiwanis group and talk about emergency preparedness. It was really very timely, though it was on Wednesday. It was the day after the anniversary of 9/11. And I want you to know how much I appreciate the planning that you did to make this happen, and we were with you and our thoughts were with you. And I think that as we look around the country now, with what's going on in Massachusetts and what's going on in our southern states, that emergency management is something that we all need to focus on from a city point of view into our individual homes. And again, I want to thank you, Nancy. As Jerry left our Kiwanis meeting, he gave us a number of ideas of things that we needed to do, but made us each kind of pledge that we would implement at least one idea, because one idea can save a life, can save quite a bit. Also, this last week on Friday, we had the art walk, and though the weather was very, very stormy and windy and rainy, we had the diehards that turned out for art and beer, and art and wine. We had a very energetic group. It ran for about 3 hours, and we had good turnout. I want to remind everyone that we will be having another one in the spring. Along the same line as the arts, the art gallery, the local art gallery group, has been able to get a new location thanks to the incredible owners of the villas behind Lowe's. They have some storefronts there, and they are going to allow the gallery people to have it open for 3.5 to 4 months at a very, very nice rate. So it's nice to see people in our community that step forward and support what our independent art groups do and what the city arts, what we do for arts. Also, at this time, I'd like the minutes to reflect that I'm requesting that Dana give a presentation to the board or the city council on the $500,000 that's been proposed for mental health issues and homelessness. And also, I'd like the minutes to reflect a request for the paper illustration project of what's happening at the White River Museum. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Wales, you were on record at the last council meeting asking for that information. It will be made available to you and to all of the council members as a breakout of the $500,000 that is mainly for homelessness issues and funding the shelter, the Ray of Hope Resource Center, and the Sundown Overnight Shelter, as well as cleanup of encampments in the city.
Great.
That's where a majority of that funding.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Do you have any idea when it's going to be?
I will ask Dana to work on that.
Thank you.
She's already
that.
been working on it, but those are also what was mentioned to you at the budget meeting, that's what most of that funding was for.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Holman.
Well, no real report, but a little bit of an advertisement. Next Saturday, September 22nd, our Indian community, a very large population group in South King County, are having the Indian Heritage and Cultural Festival at the Performing Arts Center here in Auburn. So from 7 to 10 p.m., you're all invited to come and see performing arts of dance and music and learn a little bit about the Indian heritage and culture as they grow to be a very large segment of our community. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. No report tonight.
All right. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item. On September 11th, along with Mayor Backus, I attended a Regional Affordable Housing Task Force meeting over at the Auburn Community and Events Center. The purpose of that meeting was to bring community members in to discuss the issues related to the needs for the current and the future of affordable housing. The task force has prepared a draft action plan that the community group was to review, and also they posed a series of questions for us to help them better identify some of the needs and also how the 5-year action plan will kind of fold out in its entirety. They have identified that the current estimate shows a need for additional 244,000 affordable housing units in King County by the year 2040. And there is a large push to, in that process, to make sure that people who earn 80% of the area median income and below is no longer cost burdened with either rent or mortgage payments. So they've got quite an ambitious schedule put together, and we're anxious to see the final draft of the action plan and what it means for the region and also for us in Auburn. Thank you.
Thank you. And I was pleasantly surprised that we were able to provide the King County Council member that was at our table with some information that he wasn't aware of in the arena of affordable housing. So,
Can you tell us who that was?
no. Move on to a few of the meetings and activities that I've had in the last couple of weeks. On September 6th, I hosted the new executive director for our SCORE jail facility, Devin Schrum, as she is meeting with all of the member cities, the mayors and the city managers of the member cities to identify what our needs are, and also that she is looking at opportunities for reducing costs for each of the member cities, which is a welcome opportunity. And so there is a subcommittee of the SCORE admin board working on opportunities for reduced expenses and perhaps increased revenues in the upcoming years. So more to come on that. Very excited to have Devin in that role. On September 11th, very early in the morning, we had the Mayor's Summit on Jobs. So Councilmember Trout Manuel, this goes right along with what you were talking about for workforce development. This is the cities of Auburn, Algona, and Pacific, the Auburn School District, and Green River College, better known collectively as Cities and Schools. And this is an initiative that we've been working on for the last year. And this brought the summit to fruition and brought together businesses, philanthropic, nonprofits, and electeds into the room to talk about what we can do in the city of Auburn to ensure that our students and all of our residents have access to family wage jobs. And so we have a steering committee that has volunteered. So I believe we have about 15 people on the steering committee. So we'll continue to move forward with those opportunities, ensuring that the trades are included. And the message is that everyone is going to need post-secondary education. That does not necessarily mean that everyone is going to be required to have a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree, but there is some need for post-secondary education, whether it's an apprenticeship, a certificate program, or something else. But the need is there, and there are actually more jobs out there right now than there are people available for them. But we want to make sure that these are family wage jobs that we are providing for our kids and for our residents so that they don't have to go outside the city of Auburn on a daily basis. We import about almost 5,000 people each day into our city for jobs here, but we would prefer that we not have many of our Auburn residents have to go outside the city for their livelihoods. Later that day, I went to Merrill Gardens and to Wesley Homes for my monthly meetings with the residents of both of those, and I took Chief Pearson with me this time, and he was a very, very popular speaker, answering all kinds of questions about the laws and speeding and all kinds of interesting questions. So I was very happy to take him with me, and I will begin taking a different director with me each time to help answer questions. So yes, we'll be on a rotation, directors, so that you can go with me. On the 13th, I was over at Gilda Ray Elementary School for the ribbon cutting, if you will, or inaugural games for a new mini pitch soccer field. And it is sponsored by the Washington Youth Soccer Foundation. There were a couple of sounder players there, and all of the students at Gilda Ray were having a great time out on that mini pitch, and it was just a lot of fun to watch. They are very adept already at an early age with some great ball handling and footwork. On the 15th, I attended an Eagle Scout ceremony for Guy Adamo. Congratulations to Guy for receiving his Eagle Scout award. That is something that is very challenging to complete, and it requires a great deal of work, at least 21 merit badges, and also a community project, and then lots and lots of paperwork that's submitted to the National Scouting Organization for approval. And I'll finish it there. Mr. City Attorney, do we have any need for a closed or executive session this evening? No. In that case, we are adjourned.